And here we are out on the banking again, and this time we're together with Jeff. Jeff, a fellow volunteer.
Hi.
How are you doing?
All right.
So,
all right. It's good.
Tell us a little bit about your beautiful car.
This one's mine.
Right.
It's a 1951 Singer Roadster.
Right.
The engine in it is 1100 cc. It's a Singer 9 Roadster. That's 9 taxation horsepower.
No, right.
Develops probably about 38 brake horsepower.
Right.
It buzzes along the road nicely at about 50 mile an hour.
So you brought it up today?
I brought it up today. I come in from just north of Basingstoke, and it comes into Brooklands probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a year. I bring it in when I volunteer on a Wednesday.
Yeah. So what era would this be from? Is this a 50s car?
It's a 1951 car. They produced them like this until 1956. Which is when Roots took over Singer, and they became upmarket Hillman Minxes.
Right.
But it's a throwback to pre-war cars. It's got the cutaway doors, right. And it's very much a pre-war car warmed over.
Yeah. And they would have been marketed as a small sports car, or was it a professional's car maybe?
No, it was a small sporting car. Singer stopped marketing sports cars as such when they had a real problem in the Ards TT race in about 1935.
Right. When
of a team of 4 Singers, 3 of them, the steering broke on the same bend. Singer at that stage stopped making sports cars as such, but this one would have been a sporting car as opposed to a sports car. But it was. Its competition really was the TDMG, which was a bit more of a sports car, because it had twin carburetors. It's only got a single carburetor.
And how long have you owned this, Jeff?
I've owned this 7 or 8 years now.
Okay. Have you done much work on it? I mean, the bodywork looks lovely, and the paint scheme is fabulous.
The bodywork was like this when I bought it. Mechanically, it's cost me an arm and a leg. It's cost me rather more than I paid for the car in the first place.
Okay.
Mechanically,
why is that? Is the engine or the gearbox?
It's had a rebuilt engine. I put a higher ratio gear in the back axle last year. That's a long story with that one, but it does make it more of an open road car. The guy who built it, I think, was a bit of a bodger.
Right.
It's had new carburetor, rebuilt distributor. The starter motor was in a shocking state. Yeah. It's all the stuff that you don't really notice when you're buying.
So it's one of them stories. I think they use the term "it's good from far," good from afar, but when you get it, it's far from good.
That's something like that. But touch wood, it seems to be running okay now.
And you've got a nice tonneau cover.
I've got a tonneau cover
just in case.
Just in case, and it does have a hood and side screens as well. So
that's wonderful.
I should be all right if it rains. The only problem was the windscreen wipers are like pre-war windscreen wipers, and they run very, very slowly.
So it'll be a little bit slower down the M3 later if it's not too good.
I don't take it on the motorway.
I don't blame
it buzzes along at 50 miles an hour quite happily. It won't cruise at 60. It'll do 60, but if you can't do 60 miles an hour, you end up with 44 tons up your tail, and it's a bit unfair making them try and pull out into lane 2, which they don't always find easy.
No. Well, if you can keep a good pace, that's the truth. Oh, look at that! It's a gem. Yeah, maybe you could tell us a little bit about the under the bonnet, because you said that you've gone to a lot of trouble there. It looks really clean, actually.
Right, when I bought the car, the engine block had what I thought was a slight crack in it, which I thought I could deal with. When it came to it, the crack actually ran from the front to the back of the block. I did, however, have a spare engine block. So I thought I would measure this engine block just to see where it was, whether it would take another rebore. 3 of the cylinders were on their last bore. The the last bore I measured was a quarter of an inch larger than the other three, which I thought was rather surprising. I did speak to someone in the club about that, and he thought it was a typical 1950s bodge in that they had a piston to fit, so they bored the block out to fit the piston that they had. So they bored all the other three out to that larger bore and then sleeved it down to standard. As you can see, it's only got one carburettor.
I've just noticed that.
So
yes,
it's not, which is why it's not really a sports car. They did a larger version, one for export, 1500cc version for export, and some of those did have twin carburettors.
Were you able to find out any of its history at all?
I think it was derelict for a number of years,
right,
and was built up from certainly one wreck. I understand there may well have been two wrecks involved.
Right, and well, it's a good thing that you're pretty handy with a spanner.
I think you have to be with an old car. You can't run an old car without being
handy. With it.
Otherwise, you end up you end up having to pay people to do things, and that just gets really expensive.
Well, it's a tribute to your tenacity and your wallet that you've been so tenacious in getting it going and restoring it to what is a beautiful finish. And we've enjoyed seeing it here today, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
So here we are, we've made it round to the side of the hangar, and a beautiful car has just been seen reversing up. A Marcus, I understand, and your name is Simon.
My name is Simon, yes.
Simon, tell us about your car, it's exquisite.
So I'm a bit of a Marcos maniac, and I used to follow one of these cars with a friend of mine to Le Mans every year, and I hated it, absolutely hated it. But following this car over the years made me appreciate it more and more. And I decided I had to have one. So I went hunting, and this one was a true barn find that had been in the barn for 20 years plus. And although the top of the car and the painting is all original, it's a bit tatty now. Underneath and the engine and things like that, suspension have all been...
So is the engine in the front of the block here?
Yeah, so it's the engine out of... TR6, so it's a mechanical injection straight six out of a TR6, or donor car as we as we like to call them.
Well, I've seen Marcos as a brand that also took part in Le Mans.
Yes, absolutely.
Probably with Jaguar running gear, would they have been in that era?
Well, and so these are this is Triumph running gear.
Right.
Well, it's a Ford axle on the back, but the Le Mans cars, they were also Ford running gear, I believe. Right. So,
and tell us about the bodywork on it.
So you can see that there's lots of little blemishes on the bodywork. So this car was it was designed by a guy called Brian Cunnington. You know, I love all the stories of the people of that age, but it was then to his disappointment, I guess, titivated and changed a little by. One of the Adams brothers that had a go at it.
Yep.
So it wasn't how he wanted it originally. But, you can see it's got a few battle scars. I don't know if this was the original colour. It looks a bit period, and it's how high I had the car.
Right.
But I'm a bit reluctant to make it look new, as it were.
It looks like it's morphed several different looks into one type of car. It looks like it's taken parts of maybe a Lamborghini of that era. The interior in particular looks really nice.
Brian used to work for Lotus.
Okay.
So he actually kind of started this project as what I guess would have been the Lotus Elite,
right?
The 2+2, the sort of. But he left before that car was completed, and then shortly after this was completed, the Lotus brought out a 2+2 as well. You know, they had that Elite series. You know.
Yeah.
So,
and the steering wheel is definitely from that period. That is just an unusual feature.
When I got the car, it had that steering wheel, but again, it's old and it's not quite as solid as perhaps it could be. And because you get a lot of feel through your bum and through the steering wheel. I thought maybe the things that I'm feeling is to do the steering wheel, so I changed it, but it turned out not to be. It was just air in the tyres. But so I put the steering wheel back. But it looks lovely, but to me.
So, I mean, it's one of them things, I guess you could keep chasing the dream, but is it work in progress, or are you just happy as it is?
Happy as it is now. I mean, those years are gone. The engine was reconditioned and all the suspension and things like that, but now I wouldn't.
And how long have you had it yourself?
Probably getting on for 20 years.
My goodness me. So it's a labour of love and a joy as well.
Yeah, absolutely love it, yeah.
Have you been here before with this car?
I'm a member here, so I've been many times. The drive it day, probably 10 years ago, was parked right under the nose of Concord.
Oh, what a great place to be. Well, this is something we're developing now, which is, it's not so much about the cars, which are everything, but it's about the people. And I can hear from the way you talk about it, there's a passion for your car.
Absolutely. I love to get down. Love the whole thing about Brooklands, obviously particularly the cars, and like to support it as much as I can, but everyone's busy these days. Right?
They are right. Well, listen, can I say thank you very much?
No, thank you very much. Lovely to be able to talk to you about it.
Oh, you're very kind, and thank you for bringing your car.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.